I'm Mateo, or Mateo, as my mom calls me. I've been working for the city for a couple of years now, so I'm going to talk a little bit about my experience. So my story today at least starts with a dead-end job, a super corporate environment where I kind of felt like a token employee, where I kind of didn't feel like I fit in, and I didn't know, why was I even there? The work that I was doing was with the finance industry, and forgive me if any of y'all are in finance, but a lot of these people were rude and short, and I didn't like the space. The work that I was doing was helping them vet deals, Silicon Valley companies, and as I was doing research, I would find out about different companies that were like mission-driven and cause-based, and whenever I looked at their job boards, they were always hiring for software developers and data analysts, and so I decided to make a change. And I went to computer camp. I went to one of these coding boot camps about 5 years ago, and I was surrounded by people that were like me, that were frustrated with the kind of corporate jobs that they were in, wanted to make a change, and wanted to pursue their passion projects. And pretty quickly, I discovered that my passion projects were all around civic tech. This I'll define as the use of data, technology, and design for the public good. There's also this concept called open data, which is basically making government data more available and easily accessible for folks to use in research or in their own app development. And the more I learned about this space, I realized it wasn't just concepts, it was a movement. So if you go to Meetup, you'll see Open Austin, which is a local organization that I helped lead for a while. And next week, they're meeting at the Old Falk Library. And if you look at Code for America, there's civic tech brigades like this all throughout the country that are just basically creating a gathering place for people that are interested in government tech to get together and work on this stuff. So you can think about Atlanta, LA, Denver, DC. This kind of like a national network of do-gooders is really where I found my tribe. And I was really excited about this kind of new field. And I was doing so much work in my free time and really trying to expand my skill set. So an example of a project is looking at, basically we're working with the council member's office to understand where are there park deserts in Austin? Where do we need to fund more parks? And so we brought in census data to bring in some demographic information. And we also brought in geospatial data from the Parks and Rec Department, and we were able to identify some key places that needed more park funding. Another project working with Texas Appleseed, which advocates for youth at the legislature. I'm basically looking at the disciplinary actions within school districts throughout the state of Texas, and basically being able to paint a picture of what school districts have a real big problem expelling or sending kids of color to detention and expulsions. So through all this work, I was invited to, appointed by my council member to serve on a city board, the Community Tech and Telecom Commission. First it was really interesting, but pretty quickly I realized change just happens too slow through these processes. It's kind of designed to go super slow, and I was really getting frustrated with it. And so kind of a piece of advice that I got as a programmer, but I think it applies to life, if you're banging your head on a problem, sometimes the best thing to do is take a step back, take a walk, get some water, and approach it in a new way. And so that's what I did, and I realized I was spending so much of my free time. I was back where I was, 4 years ago, spending too much time, and so I decided to join the city itself. So I joined the city's Design Technology Innovation Fellowship, bringing in modern software practices into the city, and going to different departments working on different problems they had. And it was a really awesome experience. I worked on projects around open government, around the city's website redesign. One project I think is really cool that other folks worked on more than me, but you can go to now, is called floods.austintexas.io, and it helps the watershed department and other emergency responders see where streets and low water crossings are closed in the event of flooding, which happens all too often. But now I work for the transportation department. So a show of hands, who thinks these guys are cool? Who thinks scooters are cool? Yeah, so it's mixed, right? Some people hate them, some people love them. And we've been thinking a lot about scooters and e-bikes at the transportation department these days, as have council offices, I'm sure. And I think this is really just the tip of the spear. We are going to have autonomous vehicles sometime in the future. We're going to have autonomous drones using the right-of-way in Austin. You heard about Hyperloop earlier. And we don't have a framework for governing these systems yet. with your standard kind of like Cap Metro buses, we have this thing called the GTFS, which an engineer at Google came up with, that basically allows us to standardize the data, scheduling, routes, and all this stuff between any city. So it's just a plug-and-play system across the world, really. We don't have this for scooters yet. And so the city of LA and city of Santa Monica, us and a few others, I think Seattle too, have been basically as bureaucrats, as technologists within government, thinking about how do we architect a better system for collecting data about where scooters are being used, and thinking about safety, and also thinking about people's privacy, because you can jump on a scooter and take it right to your door, and how do we make sure that that information is safe? So we've really just started, like this week, sharing some of the tools that we're developing, so visualizing where trips start, where they end, and vice versa, and starting to make this data more public. And it's really exciting work. One thing that I've realized through this whole kind of civic tech space is, sorry, I'm skipping ahead. So one thing I'm really excited about is this is all open source. So if you're interested in this project, if you're interested in JavaScript, you're interested in Python, go to github.com/City of Austin, and you can see some of the work we're doing. Thing I was going to say is through all this work, I've really realized that there's a lot of work to do to make our cities better, and there's not enough people showing up, and the people that show up are the ones that the decisions are made for. So we really need more people to get involved, whether it's showing up at a council meeting and voicing your opinion on it, on an issue or council item, or whether it's actually kind of maybe following my career path and joining the city, applying your technology, your design experience to city work. It would be awesome to have you, especially as Latinos and Latinas. So the last thing I want to pitch is we're starting a dev apprenticeship program. We want to bring in folks that are straight out of college, straight out of boot camps to help us with this data engineering work, DevOps work, and we're really excited to keep pushing this forward. So thank you.
Yeah.